Hi, everyone. This is Nora Armani, the founding artistic director of the Socially Relevant Film Festival, New York. And this is still our 12th annual edition. Today's session is an additional session that we have added because we have a number of filmmakers who are screening their films only online, and we didn't get a chance to talk to them. So I thought it would be a good idea to listen to what they have to say. Also, we have some filmmakers who screened their films but were unable to make it. Maybe they will be also joining us. So the festival's 12th edition wrapped back on Sunday, which was a few days ago. And it was really a hugely successful event. We screened 45 films from 20 countries, and that added together to all the films we have screened so far since the beginning of this festival, it brings us to 795 films from 40 countries. What is specific about these films is that they are all focused on social issues, and each and every one of these films tells a human interest story based on a social issue. We don't proclaim to be the solvers of all these problems or have solutions to each one of them. But what we try to do is to create the platform where filmmakers who have chosen to tell these human interest stories that deal with social issues, give them the platform and the spotlight necessary so they can meet their audiences and are able to tell these amazing stories. So without further ado, let me just not forget to add that the online section of the festival is already running right now and will be running until March 31st for all of the films, and maybe even beyond that until May or even permanently for a bunch of other films. We are planning to become a permanent library collection, and we will soon tell you more about that. For the moment, let us bring on the filmmakers so they can each tell you their own stories. There we go. We have 4 filmmakers with us today, and each one comes from a different film. We have 2 narrative short films, The Turtle and Where Are You Really From? And we have, actually 3 narrative short films. I thought it was a documentary, but yours is also a narrative. Okay, so we'll take a quick tour, don't go deeply into it now, but just tell us in a nutshell who you are, what your film is about, and then we will come back and talk more about it. Okay, I think Christina is having, there she is back again. I thought you were having issues. Okay, maybe we'll start with Christina. Tell us who you are and what is the film about quickly, and then when we come back to you, you can go deeply more into it.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for this online meeting. So I'm Christina. Actually, I'm not the director. I'm the production designer of the project, unfortunately.
We have a sound problem with you. I'm huge sound issue.
I think.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm using VPN to join this meeting. I'm in China, so there's like a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how to solve. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know. We really can't hear you very well. Yeah. Can we go to Derek or Keshav, and then we'll come back to Christina, which has the issue. Yeah. Okay. Derek?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Derek. I'm writer and director for September 13th, 2004. It is a comedy period film about 2 boys in Southside Chicago who find 2 tickets to the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll find out later what happens to them, right?
Yes, indeed.
And Keshav, what is your film about?
Hi, Nora. Thank you for having us on here, and thank you for having us be a part of your amazing festival as well. Just wanted to say that Derek's film sounds quite funny. My film is called Where You Really From. I'm the writer and director, and I also act in the film. It's about a first-generation Indian immigrant who loses his British accent in a stroke. He's an immigrant working in London, and what happens to him when he loses his British accent.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I must admit that, we've lost Christina completely. Okay, well, Keshav's film, which is the narrative short called Where Are You Really From? Won the best narrative short film, best narrative short film in that category, the award. Unfortunately, he wasn't here, but we had a little clip from him, the thank you clip that we played during the screening, during the event. So, okay, maybe I'll go to the next question until Christina comes back, which is, how did you get the idea of this film and what triggered it? And yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
You mind if I start?
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it was kind of, I started it in 2020, right after I finished writing my first short film, Wasted Talent. I wanted to write something, because Wasted Talent was a very deep, heavy story. I wanted to write something a little bit more funny and happy. Something that kind of like, it was a really dark time, so I wanted to like reflect on like a nostalgia time or something that absurd. And we kind of nailed on that idea. Me and my friends nailed on the idea of Oprah giving away free cars on television. And I was like, no way. That happened like in the 80s or something. So we did some research and backtracked on it. And we was like, no, this happened here. And I'm like, okay. Imagine if these two boys who had no business being at Oprah on this day should be in school or something. They instead of cut school and go to Oprah and walk out with cars that day. And it was like such a hilarious kind of thing we joked about. And we was like, no, we should make this into a concept.
Yeah.
So after the pandemic ended, we kind of threw the ball down a little bit. And then one day we had a table read. We had a good cast of people. And we were like, you know what? We need to do this and get this done. So we raised the funds for it. We had it produced in like basically 2 or 3 days. We shot the whole film. And now we screened it on September 13th in 2024 at the studio space where we filmed it and everything. It was like a really good event. And it was really cool to see everything kind of come together full circle, finally see it get its festival run.
Did you send it to Oprah?
Not yet, but we got to get the right people. One of my friends is connected to her, so I'm thinking about throwing her a tag, like, hey, just come check it out real quick.
Yeah, you should really, because it's kind of, she's in it in a way. And
yeah, she makes
maybe she could send you a couple of free cars.
It was so funny because it's like even the cars that we got, it was like from the time period. It weren't the exact G6s, but my cousin and one of my neighbor's friends, they happen to have the same exact car, Pontiac cars from the same time period. And we were like, it's the same car, the same year, everything. And we were like, all right, we gotta do it. We gotta make this work.
Oh my God, it's like serendipity. Everything was lining up for you.
It was.
So you could not do it.
It's one of those perfect storm moments, definitely. And just everybody that was like so enthusiastic about it. Malik, he's a great actor. He was like very passionate about the character. A friend of Maud, who was in Wasted Talent also, and Holly Harper, she was a great actor. And also my producer, Max, like he really was like the one that he read the script and he was like, we're doing this, right? Like this has to get done. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna do it. All right, fine. And it was just like a whole bunch of group people that supported the cast and supported the crew and supported us in what we were doing that made it happen, especially the community too.
That is so cool. It was a very cute film. Yeah. So I'm going to bring Christina back as she seems to have resolved the issue. So tell us, the question is, where did you get the idea of your film? I mean, you said you're not the director, but maybe you're close enough to know how this idea was born.
Yeah, actually, this idea is a personal, like based on a personal story, because like there's a fable related with a turtle. It can bring luck, and it can engage you with your roots. So this story is about returning home back to the roots, which is really important for Armenian community, I think. Actually, this film made not in Armenia. We wanted to make it in Armenia, but we couldn't because of financial issue. Anyway, we find a financial support in Russia, so we made this film in North Ossetia. So there also have this issue when, like in Armenia, a lot of people they go outside, and they sometimes a lot of people forget Armenian, forget who they are, forget their roots. So what is important about the story, I think, to always remember who you are and where you come from. So that's the main idea of this story, and engage with your culture, with your people, and never forget your family, your parents. Yeah, I think this is a really important topic for us, for Armenians, so to remember who we are and our culture, of course. But yeah, it's this film not about Armenian, it's about Ossetian people, but I want like how the idea can come from as an Armenian.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, when we're showing these films, a lot of them are speaking about particular people, particular situations, particular issues. But later, by exploring a little bit, we realize that there are so many similarities, and everything, across the board, everything ties in together. So we find out that there are so many, our similarities are much stronger than our differences. So let's come to Keshav and see how the film's idea came along. Was it something that happened to you? No, I know you didn't have a stroke, but I guess people constantly ask you, where are you really from?
Yeah, so for me, I think I just wanted to make a film that this is my third short, and I really wanted to make a film that was really personal. And I think I moved to England at the age of 12, and I've had from India. And I think the biggest question of my identity, or the biggest question for me, has always been, where do I really belong from? Because I think when you're moving over at such an age, you're really forming your identity. And then when you move to a new country, you have to kind of shape all of that again. And I had to pick up in order to be able to survive in school and things. I had to kind of pick up the accent very quickly. And then we moved to the north of England, which is a very different accent to the south of England, where I later moved for university and everything else. So I just kind of wanted to explore what it would be like for me to lose all this kind of work that I had done in terms of learning the local accent and trying to fit in. And I think the thing that really made me kind of want to write it is that I realized that in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've kind of stopped thinking in my mother tongue, which is Hindi. And that really scares me because it makes me think, where do I stand? Like, where am I really from? Am I really from like the place that I emigrated from, or am I really from here? So I think it's just been the question of my life for the last few years since being in England, or for the last 20 years since being in England. And I think I just really wanted to explore that. It's something that I feel very embarrassed about and shy about. And I just thought, you know what, let's just make a comedy about it and see where it goes.
It was very funny. Also, your linguistic dexterity was really amazing in it, because the guy in the story, let's not give it all away, but he gets a stroke and he loses his British accent, and he's working in a very high-end financial institution where he has to speak in a certain way, and if he doesn't speak like that, then he kind of gets to lose his job. In fact, a lot of very highly qualified candidates are coming, and because they don't speak in Queen's English or the King's now, they kind of, are sidetracked. They go next. They don't want to look at their impressive resumes just because they don't have the correct accent. And this guy who has tried all his life to fit in suddenly loses his accent. But the funny thing is that Keshaf used that opportunity to exhibit all the different accents he can do, because in the story, it's funny, the character loses his British accent, but he can imitate all sorts of accents except the one he wants to.
Yeah, so it's kind of exploring, like what would it be like if you can't actually speak, if that part of your brain actually switches off, then the character's like trying to speak in an accent, and he's able to like reflect other people's accents and speak in them. So you have an interview scene where essentially there's a Caribbean man with a Caribbean accent that comes along, and he's doing, he's speaking in his Caribbean accent trying to get the job. But instead of replying in his normal British accent, the character is like reflecting that Caribbean accent, and then it's like just all over the place. So it's kind of the film I really wanted to explore with the film this hierarchy that we have of accents and accentism. Like certain accents mean different things. So you can have an American accent or an Australian accent, and they're kind of I can sit here and do an American or an Australian and no one's going to bat an eyelid. They just think, oh, that's cool, that's hilarious. But if I suddenly start doing a Nigerian accent, or if I do an Indian accent, or if I do a Gambian accent or a Jamaican accent, they're kind of low down the hierarchy because of the way that they've been kind of ostracized. And it kind of looks at this Commonwealth hierarchy of ex-colonies where the ones that are predominantly white, they're kind of accepted. Like those accents are good because they've not really been ridiculed, but the ones that are non-predominantly white, their accents are not considered native, and they've been ridiculed through media and everything. So what that means, so I just wanted to kind of explore that. And
it's very, very interesting, because it's a kind of racism, really, except it's not the color of your skin this time, it's the way you speak. That is classifying you and creating all these prejudices. And the funny thing is, because Britain, of course, this can happen mainly in Britain. And I think it's the same thing in the United States. Would you agree with me, Derek, there, that even in the United States, you can look whatever you look, but if you sound American, you're in. If you don't, you might look blonde, blue-eyed, and I don't know what.
Well, there's a concept of passing white in America. That's historically been a thing. But there's also been a racist thing of where a Southern accent Black people would have a much more country, like rural kind of language to speak. And it was a whole thing about African American fucking economics and stuff like that, where they talk about that in history. So it's kind of like what you're saying. When I was here, I couldn't help but start laughing because I kept thinking about the history of all the thing about Black speak and everything. And also, it made me think about the idea, the concept of code switching. Like, you ever heard the movie Sorry to Bother You with Lakeith Stanfield? It kind of had all those kind of thoughts and feels of all the different kind of ways this person has to like to fit into this world and fit into this world. He had to change his voice and change his identity in order to fit in and mold himself.
Yeah, actually, the same story that Keshav told, I don't know if you got a chance to see his, but now that I sent everybody the code, you guys can log in and watch each other's films. The same exact film can be made in America with Black actors, like he's working in a high-end financial on Wall Street or something like that, in a suit and tie and everything, and he's speaking the proper American accent, and then suddenly he gets a stroke and loses it and starts speaking, the country folk sort of way. And, so what would that do? And this is not, now it's not the racist part. It's not because of his skin color, because with his skin color, he was still in that high-end institution. But while the accent is lost, suddenly it's like the hierarchy shifts.
Yeah, and I think it also says some. I'm also trying to say something about like tokenism. You know, I think we're living in a world where maybe we're trying to tick boxes and include people in places of position of power, or even just having a quota for filling things up, but we're not maybe necessarily including their culture or including their background in it.
Yeah.
So you know,
And
you can,
that was a very interesting choice because the board that was
yeah,
interviewing, there was the Indian guy, there was the Asian woman, and the two white guys. So it was not, and I thought about it and I said, why didn't he make the board an all white board?
yeah,
But then it would be us and them. It's not totally us and them, it's
yeah,
us and some of them. You know?
yeah, like a conditioned. You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
yeah,
Some are in and some are not. It's like, where do you fit?
yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So, Christina, so you worked on the film as what exactly? Tell us.
So, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes,
Because this is, I
we
don't know,
can hear
I
you, but
cannot
there's also a lot of
like
static and lots of other noises that are coming with it. I don't know what the story is with your mic.
I think he's using a VPN where she's at, and that's why it's like encrypting the channel.
Yeah. Are you on your phone?
sorry.
Are you on your
Let me
phone? Yeah, let's
maybe
try again because it's really, we can't understand. There is a comment. Somebody brings it on. Let's go for that. I'll mute you for a second because it's interference. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I've muted you. All right. We have Michael Claes, who is a member of the festival team, and he is on our board. And he says, thanks so much for bringing your films to the festival's streaming platform. Yay. Let me tell you a little bit about the streaming platform while we're at it. The streaming platform is something we started in 2021 because in 2020, just 4 days before our grand opening at the Lincoln Center and all that, we were all excited. Of course, we all know COVID hit and the Lincoln Center was closed, and we were informed that we can't have the festival. Then I realized that a lot of festivals were going online, but then these were festivals who already had an online platform. And to be honest, us film festivals who had an in-person section kindly looked always down upon festivals who didn't have an in-person section and only streamed online. Now, suddenly the field had become equalized and everybody had no choice but go online, except we were not prepared for that. So we went ahead and of course closed, and then it took us a few months to figure it out, but we still hadn't found a platform. So what we used to do back then is send the film link with a password. And can you imagine doing that with, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 people who are purchasing tickets to view the films? And I'm like, oh my God, what a crazy headache. Links don't work, passwords are not correct, the time has passed, and it was a nightmare. So the following year, in 2021, it was still COVID, it was still, we couldn't get a place. So we decided to completely go online, but this time we had the platform. We had the same platform we are using now, but it was new. And itself, it had many glitches. So after writing all these glitches and so on and sailing through them, 2022, we opened as a hybrid festival. So with the online and the in-person sections going hand in hand. And we realized that's the best formula possible because it allows people from all over the world to watch the films. It allows filmmakers to see each other's films. And also we have the in-person section, which is very, very important, we think. So since 2022, we've been an online, a hybrid film festival, showing films online and in person. So the online section kicked in on Monday, the day after we closed the in-person, and it's still running now, and we intend to run it until the end of the month, because it takes time. People don't, it's not like the in-person section where everybody comes at the same time. So people log in whenever they can. And it's very inexpensive. The tickets are only $5. So it's really, so let me pass the information here so people can see where they have to go. The films may be viewed online from the festival website. We have embedded the platform on the festival website. And when you go there, you see all the different posters. You click on the poster of your choice. It opens up and gives you viewing options. You go to the viewing options, and at that point, it tells you if the film is available online, it gives you the ticket. Then you have to purchase the ticket and you are able to watch it. If it's not available online, it will say no viewing options, or no on-demand options are available for this film. So it's pretty simple. Maybe I should do a live demonstration, because some people are having difficulty. So if I explain it like this, they might be able to log in. And we created a special code, a waiver code for the filmmakers, so that they can log in and watch each other's films free of charge. So we're very happy about the way this whole thing has turned out. So from one disaster, there was some advantage. Okay, so I'm going to ask another question to both of you, since Christina is having difficulty coming back. And it's, how did you find out about the Socially Relevant Film Festival? And what are your expectations from screening with us? Who wants to go first? Yeah, okay.
So the way I found out about your festival is I've been working with film strategist, the film festival doctor, and she recommended your festival to me, and she said some really nice things about the festival, and that the festival really cares. It really sticks to its mission statement and what it's looking for, and I think I thought it was a good idea to apply to the festival, and I think that my topic is fairly socially relevant, if I can say that, and because it is something that we are kind of tackling right now. We're looking at a lot of issues with immigration, looking at prejudice and stigma because of the way or because of where people are from, and having this kind of global xenophobia in like a world where there are so many asylum seekers, there's so many refugees, there's so many immigrants, and it's just going to get, I think it's just, it's just kind of going to get more and more. We're going to have more people who are traveling the world, being immigrants, whether that's because of freer globalization kind of movement, or whether that's because of wars, or whether that's because of people becoming refugees. But I think this is something that is really socially relevant. And even though my film is a comedy, I just wanted to, I think it's the social aspects of it and the kind of the political aspects of it for me were quite important. So it was important for me to submit to a festival like this. And I'm really glad that we managed to get in and win the narrative short. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is very interesting. Yet you mentioned the festival doctor, because it's the second time I'm hearing about this. when we were doing all the Meet the Filmmakers interviews, I don't remember which filmmaker it was, but another filmmaker brought up when I asked the question, how did you find out about us? And so I'm very curious, is this, could it be the same festival doctor, or who was it? What is
Yeah,
that?
possibly. She's called the Film Festival Doctor. Her name is Rebecca. I think she's a fan. So
The Film Festival Doctor?
Yeah.
And is this based in the UK or?
No, she's based in LA.
Oh, okay. Maybe it is the same person, because the other person's doctor was also in LA.
Okay.
No, it was interesting to know that some people are doing the homework, and because this is something I keep telling filmmakers. You cannot imagine how many films we get that are neither socially relevant, nor you can tell they have not read our guidelines. And I go, it's sad because they've wasted money. I'm not going to go around and, refund these fees, of course, but they should do some background research and find out the festivals that would be suitable for their film. Because if it's not a good match, it's chances that already there are so many films that get submitted to that different festivals. And if your film does not match the festival's mission, vision, or guidelines, then there's a good chance it will not even be considered. So I'm glad you guys came to us, because we really love each of the films that we have programmed in this session. In fact, we love some of the films we were not able to program. That's another thing I keep saying. Unfortunately, we don't have unlimited means and endless runs, and that's why we're trying to see if we can get into this permanent library formula, because once we do that, maybe we will be able to bring together some films that would be possible to stream only online, even if they haven't been in the festival. So Derek, how did you get to our festival?
Yeah, it was through Justin Thomas. He's a very good director and documentarian. He recommended, he's been working with your festival for the last few years and been recommending over the time. And as I was working on September, he was like, yeah, make sure you submit, but it wasn't ready at the time. And after a while, to be honest with you, I thought my film, it wasn't really a socially relevant film, so to speak. Whereas it was more, I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is like a really cool comedy. But then he was like, no, submit it, because it really does tie into a lot of different things. And then as I sat back and looked at it, and it kind of is like this weird kind of like revisionist history where you look at different kind of ways that, excuse me, it's like you look at different kind of perspective of a kid who lives in foster care, who is trying to find himself, find out who he wants to be, and he wants to get away from his situation and find that person. And so I thought it was a really good Hail Mary to submit to you guys, but it was really nice. And I'm glad that you guys were willing to receive it and take it. Oh, you're muted, Miss Nora.
What you're saying is correct in terms of the fact that he's a foster kid and the foster mother is just sitting there watching TV. There's nothing in the fridge to eat and so on. And, all those details are social statements.
Yes.
And then the fact that they don't go to school instead, that's not very, but it's okay, because instead they do something very productive, and they end up with cars and they drive them. So it was kind of cute, and we like that. And we love comedy, because when we say socially relevant, a lot of people get the idea that it has to be very serious study of a social issue and so on. Well, if we only spoke about social issues in a very serious manner, and we only showed the dark side of these things, we would all have to commit group mass suicide, because because it will paint such a dark picture of the world.
Right.
But we love the fact that there is a possibility of to laugh at some of these matters, and that would be cool. So let me try one more time to bring Christina on and see if she can. Christina, are you
Hello,
there? Can you?
yeah, I'm here, but unfortunately I couldn't turn on my camera. So.
Yeah, it's very, very faint. We can hardly hear you. That's very sad. So, what was your function on the film?
Yeah, actually, I'm a production designer of the film. I made like artistic side of the film. It was like quite interesting experience to make in different location, like completely different that I know, different language, different people, and we kind of tried to make everything during 5 shooting days. It was really, really difficult to make the short film during the short amount of time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It really hard to hear, but I know you said that you are the production designer on the film. So it had very good production values, by the way. It was very professionally made, had extraordinary production values, and the acting was very, very good. It's the story of this man who takes his kid and goes back to his village because his father has just died or is dying, or yeah, I think it died. And he remembers as a child that there was this tree. The father used to take him there all the time and told him the story of the turtles and how you have to, there is all these cultural elements, the traditions that the father told him. And now that the father is gone, they're coming back to the village. And it's very, very interesting because he talks to his kid, and now the continuity is assured. And at some point, without giving away a spoiler, he decides to come back and rebuild the house. And it's symbolic of how we have to come back and do something for our origins. So, one last question to everyone. Let's see how we can go through this one. If you don't want to talk about it, or if you want to say what you had for breakfast instead, that's fine. What is your next project? What now? Yep, Keshav.
Yeah, I can go next. We're in post for a short called Dinner for Loners. It's a comedy again, and but again, it looks at a socially relevant issue. It looks at men's loneliness, and the story follows a guy who's come out of a long-term relationship in his 30s and what that is like for a man when he's looking for support from his friends and trying to find a community, but it's really hard for anyone to even commit to a coffee. So he decides to throw a dinner to get all his friends back together, and he recruits his dysfunctional family who he's not really been in touch with for so long to throw this dinner together, and how that brings out the elements of his loneliness.
Wow, I love the premise. I absolutely love the premise. And I think there is material there for a feature film.
Yeah, we're actually writing it as a TV script. So
you should explore that, because that is a theme that a lot of people in our society today would identify with. What happens is that when you get into a relationship, you don't really develop the friendships. It's like the couple becomes the core of your existence, and everything is on the other, your partner. And then when the partner is gone, suddenly your entire world collapses because you didn't take the time to develop the friendships. And now everybody has a life of their own. And now how to get all these pieces together to come back and weave your support.
And I think we're kind of living in a world where we're so privatized. Like everything is so private. There's no space for like communal gatherings, and we don't prioritize having friends or like making time for them. And I found that especially in your 30s, I think that's a big step, you know, versus like maybe in your 20s where maybe there is more time for that. But I think living in a busy city like London, I think everything has to be scheduled in, and you know it's very hard to meet someone unless you give them 6 months notice or 3 months notice for a coffee. So it's kind of like it looks at that, and also looks at, you know, I think men, both men and women are really lonely, you know, in Western society, and I think especially for men, it's a lot harder to have that expression, to be like, hey, I'm feeling really alone, I'm feeling really upset. You know, it's really hard to do that as a guy. So why men lose out on that, and that leads to like serious mental health problems and things.
To
So,
show the vulnerability. It's like men have a hard time to let their vulnerability out. And the family thing is also very interesting, because a lot of people fall out with their families, and now it's like they need the family suddenly, and they have to. Yeah, it sounds like an amazing. It could very well be a interesting. Uh, Four weddings and a funeral type of sleeper.
yeah. I've written it with my really good friend, and we both have similar kind of experiences. So it's predominantly based on my friend's story. It happened in real life. So and we have kind of similar setups in terms of families and friendship groups and things like that. So it's a really fun experience, and we're writing it into a TV series, so that we're hoping that's going to be fun as well. Obviously, we don't agree on everything, but you know that's part of the relationship, and I think it's a lot of
cool. That's so cool. I'm getting a thumbs up for you from Dirk Robertson, who is also a member of our team. He's up in Virginia right now, and he's viewing this broadcast. And he is one of the people on our team who watches every single film.
Okay,
So
that's great. That's great to hear.
you got a thumbs up. Okay, Derek, what is your next project?
Yeah, I just want to say your concepts and your social commentary is really stellar. I really appreciate that, Chef, and I look forward to see what your next project is from hearing everything you have going on. As for me, I'm working on 2 different projects. The first one is a documentary project. I can't go into details a lot about that, other than it's about a family that built their own house in Brooklyn in the late 70s, early 80s. And the second part is a horror short film about a mother and daughter going to a movie theater, and they get. It's a movie called Wicked Hearts. So it's about a mother and daughter who go see a movie called Wicked Hearts, and they're sitting in the movie theater, and they're learning about this cult who sacrifices women and mothers to their daughters so they can become and take their hearts and become so they can become women. And they're watching this film, and then the cult ritual starts happening in the film, and their daughter gets sucked into it, and the mother goes chasing after her, and they kind of go into this whole scheme that's basically a part of the cult's ritual. So that's one horror and one documentary. 2 different things.
Yeah, that's cool. We look forward to seeing the documentary. Unfortunately, the horror is not our cup of tea. So even though some social issues could be horrors, but we don't go into horror movies. Okay, I'm not going to ask Christina because we're going to have a problem hearing her, but it's wonderful to have you with us, Christina. And I wish you guys the best with the turtle, which we really love. And again, let me take this opportunity to announce to everybody, whoever is watching now, oops, that's the wrong one, or whoever will be watching later, that the films we are speaking of about and the filmmakers that are here, their films, September 13, 2004, Where Are You Really From? And The Turtle are streaming online on our platform, which is accessible through the festival website. You scroll down the page, you see the various posters, click on the one that you want to see. It will open up with a description and the trailer and everything, and it will tell you viewing options. which you click, and it will tell you if you can watch it online. It needs a ticket, and how whatever else you can watch it. If it was accessible in person, it would say it's screening in person here and it's online here. But of course, we don't have any more films screening in person. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up at this, because we kind of went around the whole thing. But if any one of you has something important they want to share or say, please feel free to jump in at this moment.
Maybe I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, really? Yeah, finally. Thank you so much. I I changed the equipment wherever. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity. So glad to be part of your amazing film festival. So yeah, glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And everyone, let's see where everyone is logging in from. You, Christina, where are you right now?
Right now I'm in Beijing, so
Wow.
that's why I'm having difficulty. So I need to connect VPN all the time. So
Oh,
that's
I
why my
see.
connection is bad because of VPN. So
Yeah. And Derek, where are you?
I am in Brooklyn, New York City.
Yes, and I am in Harlem, New York
Okay.
City. And Keshav, where are you?
I'm actually in Japan, and it's 1 a.m. here. Actually, it's nearly 2 a.m. here.
Oh my God, you're gonna fall asleep suddenly. Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
I'm not
guys.
relaxing a second.
Thank you
Maybe,
all.
hopefully not a stroke. Yes, that's good.
Yeah, thank you everybody for viewing. And this broadcast is now recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to tell your friends about it, or if you want to log in and watch it at a later date, it will be there as part of our Meet the Filmmakers sessions. I'm going to end a live stream now, but we can continue to talk in the